The sun hung low over Willow Creek, a sleepy little town nestled along the banks of a shimmering river in northern Oregon. It was a crisp autumn morning in October 2024, the kind of day that felt like a gift after years of grinding work. I was sipping my second cup of coffee in the kitchen, watching my wife, Emily, stroll down our quiet street toward the community mailbox. After decades as a schoolteacher, she moved with a steady grace that always calmed me. We bought this house to enjoy our retirement, to escape the chaos of city life and find peace in this riverside haven. But peace, I was about to learn, isn't something you're just handed. Sometimes, you have to fight tooth and nail to keep it. I spotted him before Emily did. Carl Dempsey, not the kind of neighbor you'd wave to over the fence. He was a storm cloud in human form, a retired cop in his late 50s who'd crowned himself the Homeowners Association's security chief. Nobody elected him. He just decided he was in charge. He wore a makeshift uniform khaki shirt with a flimsy patch, tactical pants, and a holstered pistol that made my skin crawl. That morning, he was waiting for Emily at the mailboxes, clipboard in hand, his stance wide like he was about to arrest someone. I set my coffee down, a knot tightening in my gut. I'd seen him bully others before, mostly newcomers who didn't know their rights. But this was different. This was Emily. Through the window, I watched the scene unfold like a slow-motion nightmare. Carl waved his clipboard, his voice sharp. Emily shook her head, polite but firm. She wasn't one to back down when she knew she was right. Our property, like a few others along the river, predated the HOA by decades. We weren't members, and no law said we had to be. But Carl didn't care about facts. He wanted control. He leaned closer, his words probably dripping with venom. Emily stood her ground, trying to step around him. Then it happened. In one fluid motion, Carl unholstered his gun. He didn't aim it at her head, but he held it low, pointed at the ground near her feet. A clear threat. My heart pounded, rage flooding my veins. He was threatening my wife over a mailbox, a federally owned mailbox. Hey, what the hell are you doing, Carl? The shout came from our neighbor, Tom, a solid guy who'd seen it all from his porch across the street. I was already out the door, sprinting down the driveway, my mind locked on one thing. Our security camera was recording everything. Get away from my wife, I warned. Carl's head whipped toward me, his face a mix of shock and arrogance. He hadn't expected resistance. He holstered his gun as I reached Emily, pulling her behind me. You've lost your damn mind. I spat, my voice trembling with fury. The real police are coming. Emily, pale but composed, was already on her phone, dialing 911. A sheriff's deputy, a no-nonsense woman named Officer Hayes, arrived quickly. Carl spun a tale of misunderstanding, claiming Emily was trespassing on HOA property. He conveniently forgot to mention the gun. But Tom had seen it. I had seen it. And I pointed to our front door. It's all on video, I said. Every second. Hayes took notes, promised to review the footage, and left. That night, I thought justice was coming. We had evidence, a witness, and the truth. I was wrong. The next day, a certified letter arrived from the HOA. My hands shook as I opened it. It wasn't an apology, it was a $200 fine for harassing an HOA official and, bizarrely, illegal use of a guard dog. We didn't even own a dog, just a 20-year-old cat who barely moved. The accusation was a lie, a coordinated attack. This wasn't just Carl's power trip anymore. The entire HOA board was in on it, trying to bury us under fake fines and forged authority. My hope flickered out, replaced by a cold resolve. This was war. I got to work. I downloaded the mailbox video, saving it on my computer, a USB drive, and a cloud server. I froze the frame where Carl drew his gun, printing clear stills of his threatening stance. The HOA's letter went into a plastic sleeve evidence. I emailed the HOA, politely requesting their bylaws and regulations. No reply. Then I talked to our neighbor, Margaret, a retired county clerk with a razor-sharp mind. She examined Carl's mandatory membership form, dropped in the scuffle, and spotted a fake County Sela pixelated copy lifted from an old public records PDF. It was proof of fraud. Carl wasn't just a bully, he was a criminal. Days later, Deputy Hayes called. The video was under review. A small win. But then another bombshell hit. A court document arrived, a restraining order filed by Carl against me. He claimed I'd threatened him and that our vicious dog was a danger. The lie about the dog was now in a sworn statement. He was weaponizing the courts to paint me as the villain. That's when I decided to turn his fiction into reality. I called my old friend, Mike, a retired police sergeant who'd run a K-9 unit. "He's trying to bury you with lies," Mike said. "But I've got just the thing. Meet Titan, a retired Belgian Malinois. 8 years old, trained to protect, calm with family, but he knows a threat when he sees one." Titan was a marvel gentle with us, but a disciplined force when commanded. We adopted him legally, papers filed, license paid. He became our guardian, lying watchfully in the yard as I built my case. Then I caught Carl sneaking behind our fence, snapping photos of Titan to bolster his fake restraining order. My second camera caught that, too. I filed a trespassing complaint with the sheriff, video in hand. The tide was turning. Then a call came from Lisa Carter, an investigative reporter. Our neighbor Tom had tipped her off. I handed her my evidence videos, forged documents, everything. She was stunned. "This is the most airtight case of HOA abuse I've ever seen," she said. "We're running it." The HOA didn't back down. They sent another letter, announcing an emergency inspection of all properties, including ours. It was a trap to provoke me. I was ready. On inspection day, October 25th, 2024, Carl pulled up at 11:25 a.m. I stood on my porch, coffee in hand, Titan at my side. "You're not welcome here," I said calmly. "Leave." He scoffed, waving his clipboard like a badge of authority, and stepped through my gate trespassing. My camera rolled. "This is your second warning," I said, voice like steel. He raised his clipboard, a threatening motion. Titan reacted instantly, launching forward, knocking Carl to the ground, and locking onto his arm with a controlled bite. "Titan out," I commanded. He released and returned to me in seconds. Carl screamed, clutching his arm as sirens wailed in the distance. Deputies arrived, along with paramedics. Carl played the victim, but I showed the footage on my TVMY warnings, his trespass, his threatening gesture, Titan's precise response. A neighbor, a former K-9 handler, backed me up. That was a trained apprehension, not an attack. The deputies nodded. "Your dog acted as trained, Mr. Harper," the older one said. "And we're taking a hard look at Carl's earlier firearm incident." That night, another HOA letter evaded a $5,000 fine for a vicious animal and a demand to remove my fence. It was desperate, laughable. I turned my kitchen into a war room, organizing a binder of every email, letter, and video. Margaret's analysis of the forged seal was the centerpiece, alongside the HOA's own bylaws, which exempted our property from their rules. I dropped the binder at the prosecutor's office and gave a copy to Lisa. That night, her report aired. It was a demolition Carl's gun, his trespass, the forged seal, all laid bare. The HOA's lies crumbled on live TV. The fallout was swift. The prosecutor charged Carl with aggravated assault, trespassing, and fraud. He resigned. His house went up for sale, and the HOA board collapsed, issuing a weak apology and rescinding all fines. They offered us $7,200 to avoid a lawsuit. We took it not for the money, but for their admission of defeat. A new sign went up by the river. Private property, sheriff enforcement only. Our street was free. As I stood on my porch, watching the river glint under the setting sun, Emily handed me a coffee. Titan lay in the grass, at peace. We'd fought with evidence, not anger, and won. But I wonder, what would you do if someone threatened your family over petty rules? Would you back down or fight? Should HOAs have any power over non-members? And how far is too far when defending your home? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe for more stories of standing up to the system. Let's keep this conversation going.